gets the call to come to Pharaoh's house. And now look at the position he's put into. Only in regard to the throne, will I be greater than you. We'll talk about promise in a minute. So Pharaoh says, you can be ruler over all my house, second only to the throne. He puts gold chains and garments on him, dresses him like he should be dressed for that position, and said whenever he goes out, everyone will bow the knee to him. He puts him in Air Force 2, his number 2 chariot, and that's how he drives around. And they shout out, bow the knee. This is Joseph coming. Bow to him. And he gives him a wife, Asenath, who's the wife of the priest. And Joseph is 30 years old when all this is happening. He gathers up so much food they can't count it. The food from around, the grain that's grown around each city is gathered up, and the grain for that city is stored in that city. And they do this all throughout the land of Egypt. And it says you think you might start off inventorying the grain. Got to the point where they couldn't inventory it. There was so much of it they couldn't count it. And then Joseph also, now we're in the 7 years of plenty we're talking about here. Joseph has 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. We generally say Ephraim and Manasseh because of the blessings later on. But Manasseh was the oldest one. And Joseph said in chapter 41, verse 51, Joseph called the name of the first Manasseh, for God has made me forget all my toil in my father's house. We had this firstborn son. He says, God has blessed me now that I can forget the troubles I've had in the past. I can forget the toil I had. I can forget my brothers are doing to me, what's happened to me in the past. I can forget that now because I'm blessed with this son. In verse 52, the name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So it seems very much to me like Joseph in the first one is looking back, saying, I can now forget my past. And the second one is saying, I can look to my present and my future because where I am now. Like the names of the sons. I can forget my past. And I can look now in the land of my affliction where I've been blessed. Names, meaning the names of Ephraim and Manasseh. Verse 53, then the 7 years of plenty, which were in the land of Egypt, ended. The 7 years of famine are beginning. So the land is famished. They have no grain. Crops don't grow. You can imagine what it'd be like for farmers here. Or even more so, think about the big corn belts and whatever of the Midwest. There was no crops, none, for 7 years. There's already talk now worldwide about food shortages, grain shortages, because Ukraine and Russia are such large producers of corn and wheat. And the wars that's going on there is going to cut back production. So it's a worldwide effect here. So they had no grain. But Joseph's got grain. He got grain stored up. So he starts selling grain. Others come to buy grain from all over. It's not just an Egypt famine. It's an all over famine. So others are coming in to buy grain. Famine is severe in all the lands. Jacob, back in Canaan. Jacob hears that there's grain for sale down in Egypt. And he tells his brothers, why are you sitting here staring at one another? Go buy grain. We don't have any. We can't grow any. There's a famine. There's grain in Egypt. Go buy some. So 10 of the brothers go to buy grain. And Benjamin stays at home with Jacob. And you can kind of see why. He was the only remaining son of his favorite wife, Rachel. Joseph is gone. So he goes home to Benjamin, his baby son. So the brothers come to Egypt, and a strange thing happens. have to appear before the governor, Joseph, in order to buy grain. They come in and they bow their faces to the ground.